You know that feeling when you wake up absolutely exhausted, even after spending a full 8 hours in bed? Or how about when a completely standard work email makes your heart pound like you're literally running from a predator? Most of us tend to view our bodies as this collection of random symptoms, just isolated glitches that happen to us, right? But what if I told you that you aren't broken at all? What if, actually, you're a highly complex machine running a very specific, totally invisible code? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're not just doing a surface-level dive into health. We're going to investigate the hidden biological forces that are actively shaping your sleep, your energy, your emotions, and ultimately, your longevity. It's kind of a fundamental mystery of modern life, isn't it? I mean, we live in the safest time in human history, and yet our bodies are constantly reacting as if we're facing life-threatening danger. Think about it. You're just sitting at your desk, you're completely safe, but your physiology is fully mobilized for a war that simply isn't happening. To understand why this actually occurs, we need to stop looking at our symptoms in isolation. We have to start looking at the underlying software. Because here's the reality. You are an interconnected intelligence engine. Your baseline anxiety, that massive mid-afternoon fatigue you get, your poor sleep, these are not random, disconnected events. They are deeply interconnected signals, all regulated by a hidden biological code. Your sleep physically influences your hormones, right? Then those hormones dictate your emotions, and your daily behaviors physically rewire your biology. It's a massive feedback loop. So to decode this engine, we really have to start with the master control board. Which brings us to section 1, decoding the polyvagal network, focusing on the autonomic nervous system. There's some incredibly groundbreaking work by Dr. Stephen Porges that reveals a mechanism known as neuroception. Basically, long before you ever consciously register a thought, your nervous system is acting as this automatic subconscious radar. It's constantly scanning your environment and is always asking just one question: am I safe? If this implicit detection system senses a threat, and yes, that includes a purely psychological one, it instantly shifts your biological state. It dictates how you perceive the world around you before you even realize it's happening. So your nervous system is in a constant tug of war between two main states. When we feel genuinely safe, the ventral vagal state is dominant. That's the good stuff. It allows for social engagement, emotional connection, and deep physical recovery. But under chronic stress, our nervous system undergoes what's called a biological dissolution. Basically, we retreat backward down the evolutionary ladder. We lose access to that higher-order social system and get totally trapped in the sympathetic state, classic fight or flight. You aren't just feeling stressed. Your biology is literally physically blocking your ability to feel calm and connected. Moving on to section 2, let's look at the gut-brain superhighway and decode the vagus nerve. So how does this whole threat detection system actually communicate with your organs? It uses the vagus nerve. But here is a stunning biological reality that blows my mind every time. 80% of its fibers are sensory. That means they carry information up from your gut directly to your brain. Only 20% are motor fibers sending signals down. Because this communication is so heavily skewed, it means the physical chemical state of your gut overwhelmingly dictates the emotional state of your brain. Which leads us to a pretty staggering number, 90%. That is the percentage of your body's serotonin, the crucial neurotransmitter for regulating your mood and anxiety, that is synthesized not in your brain, but right down in your gut. Specifically, it's produced by specialized enterochromaffin cells. This is just a perfect example of these hidden mechanisms at play. Your gut is literally manufacturing the actual chemicals that determine your day-to-day happiness and resilience. Let's look a little deeper into how this enteric neuromodulation actually works. The microbes in your gut ferment dietary fibers to produce short-chain fatty acids, which are amazing because they promote anti-inflammatory signaling. These microbes are actively regulating your serotonin and even your dopamine. But if you have chronic gut inflammation, your immune cells start releasing pro-inflammatory cytokines, like IL-6. These cytokines travel right up that vagus nerve and literally disrupt the blood-brain barrier. Your brain receives this as a constant, blaring danger signal. So a gut issue suddenly manifests as social anxiety, depression, or heavy brain fog. Your microbial metabolites are literally writing the emotional code your brain is forced to execute. Okay, section 3, the deep sleep reset. Let's talk about our biological maintenance mode. If our daily lives are just constantly triggering our threat system, how on earth do we recover? Well, we do it through the non-negotiable architecture of human sleep. Sleep isn't just turning off. It's a highly dynamic process that cycles every 90 minutes, and the different stages serve vastly different roles. You've got N1 and N2, which are your light sleep and transition phases. Then N3 is your deep sleep that's absolutely crucial for physical restoration. And finally, REM, or rapid eye movement sleep, is entirely dedicated to cognitive synthesis and emotional processing. Let's break down the hidden mechanisms of those two most critical stages. During N3 deep sleep, we witness an absolute mechanical marvel. We aren't just resting tired muscles here. This is when your brain initiates a literal cellular power wash. During this slow-wave sleep, the interstitial space in your brain actually expands, and the glymphatic system pumps cerebrospinal fluid right through the brain tissue. It vigorously clears out accumulated metabolic waste, specifically things like amyloid beta proteins, which are heavily associated with cognitive decline. And all of this magic happens only when your parasympathetic nervous system reaches maximum dominance. So, while N3 is handling all that heavy physical tissue repair, REM sleep dominates the second half of the night to repair your mind. During REM, your brain is actively processing highly charged emotional memories from the day. But here's the deeper, really fascinating mechanism. During REM, the locus coeruleus, which is the brain's main center for stress chemicals like noradrenaline, is completely 100% silenced. Because that stress center is offline, your brain can safely process and essentially strip the acute emotional charge away from stressful memories, all without triggering a physical panic response. The catch is, this critical emotional regulation software is highly fragile. Clinical data consistently shows that alcohol consumption delays and reduces REM sleep in a dose-dependent manner. Sure, a nightcap might make you feel unconscious, it might put you to bed, but it actively prevents your brain from entering the exact sleep stage required to process the day's emotional stress. So you wake up and maybe you're physically rested, but you are completely emotionally compromised. Which leads us to our final part, Section 4, Mastering Your Biology. Let's look at some actionable protocols for the nervous system. Okay, we've decoded the mechanics. Now let's look at the actual user manual so we can manually reboot this system. Let's start with a concept that frankly sounds a bit like a wellness trend at first, but is actually just basic physics applied to human biology. It's called earthing or grounding. See, during cellular stress, your immune system releases an oxidative burst of positively charged free radicals. This creates a chronic inflammatory barrier. But when your bare skin makes direct contact with the earth, free electrons literally flow into your body. This massive, abundant supply of negative charge actively neutralizes those highly reactive oxygen species, completely restoring your body's natural bioelectrical baseline. And the systemic consequences of this are massive. According to a massive 2023 review in the Biomedical Journal, grounding acts as a systemic brake pedal for the body. It actively shifts your autonomic nervous system right back toward parasympathetic dominance. It increases your baseline heart rate variability, which is a massive marker of resilience. It normalizes your cortisol rhythms, reduces blood viscosity, deepens your sleep, and incredibly, even accelerates the healing of chronic wounds. So this isn't woo-woo. It is a scientifically validated method to pull your biology completely out of systemic defense mode. So if grounding is a passive reset, what is the active override? Well, neurobiologist Dr. Andrew Huberman points to something called the physiological sigh. He calls it the absolute fastest, hardwired way to interrupt the sympathetic threat system in real time. This isn't just taking a nice deep breath to relax. It's a very specific mechanical override of your biology. Let me break down the exact physical mechanism so you can actually use it today. Step 1, you take a deep inhale through the nose. Step 2, and this is key, you add a quick, sharp second inhale on top of it. This crucial second breath fully pops open and expands the collapsed air sacs, or alveoli, in your lungs. Finally, step 3, you perform an extended, slow exhale through the mouth. That little double inhale is the trick that effectively cleanses your bloodstream of all that anxiety-inducing carbon dioxide. But the real secret here lies in that final step, the extended exhale. This is the ultimate hidden mechanism. The sheer mechanical act of lengthening your out-breath directly stimulates the vagus nerve we were decoding earlier. That stimulation triggers the release of a specific neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine acts exactly like a chemical brake pad, literally commanding your heart rate to slow down. Think about that. You are literally using your own breathing muscles to manually inject a calming neurochemical directly into your own heart. So, we've peeled back the layers. Your stress, your fatigue, your emotional resilience, none of these are just happening to you. They are the direct, measurable outputs of your autonomic nervous system, the state of your gut microbiome, the structural architecture of your deep sleep, and the bioelectrical charge of your very cells. You are definitely not at the mercy of some random biological lottery. You are the operator of a highly responsive, incredibly adaptive intelligence engine.
So now that you know the hidden code running your biology, how will you program your tomorrow?